This podcast is brought to you in conjunction with Hustro.com, a leading construction management software tool.
Everyone's focused on, the fun stuff, sales, marketing, advertising, going to conferences, shaking hands, right? But the challenge we kept facing was operations, right? They couldn't sustain the growth. Their people couldn't manage it. They didn't have the processes or structures in place. And so that kind of was the birth of LoyaltyOps, was this problem that we just kept running into and had to fix every time in order to drive that growth.
Hi everybody, Gavin Coyle. I'm the Gaffer. Great guest today. Michaela Anderson is all the way from Canada. And we're going to talk about people performance and process. Had a good chat in the pre-chat chat. Performance is profit. Profit is performance. And how do we get there? This lady has a very interesting background in terms of this particular area of expertise. And I love people that stick to what they know and don't just create a business because they think, I think there's a money to be made in that particular business. No, she lived and worked a career in the area of speciality that she's in, which is, I'm stuck. I need to move the dial a bit forward. I'm afraid of taking on employees. I'm afraid of taking on more work, or I don't have enough work and I don't have the proper structures and I don't have the systems. And what do I do? And how do I put this together? From a high level, Mickey would have done that in the past, but now she can do it at all different levels. So it doesn't matter whether you're small, medium, or enterprise. She can fit the model into all those different tiers, which is why we want to get her on the show, because we know a lot of the listeners are small to medium enterprise construction owners, and we want to help you, give you the confidence to look at the key points within your business that you can have a touch point to improve your own self-development and also the development of your employees, and obviously then, which leads to performance and sales. Mickey, I think I've covered it.
That was beautiful. Thank you.
Founder of LoyaltyOps, by the way. Sorry, I missed that last bit. How are you? What part of Canada?
I'm in Ottawa, in the capital, and it is cold.
It is. So what are we looking at minus figures there?
Today, it's actually not too bad. I think it's minus 10 Celsius. So
lovely.
It's pretty nice. Just a little breezy.
Nice. Talk to me about, do you guys not get frozen pipes and burst pipes and all that kind of stuff?
We're kind of built for it, right?
Okay.
So we know February is actually the coldest month here. It gets down to between minus 35 and minus 40 Celsius for the month. It's terrible. Don't come in the winter.
Wow.
But we're built for it. We have, insulation in our garages. We plug in our cars. Everything's just built up. So we're quite prepared for these winters.
So if you have a burst pipe, it means you're not from Canada.
Yeah. And if you had a terrible builder who's not from here, yeah.
Let's get straight into it. I'm very intrigued about your original career and where you were. Give the listeners a sense of what that looked like, in order for us to get to the next part. But give us the sort of background.
Yeah, I've had a winding road career for sure. I started off, I ran 2 marketing agencies and scaled those up. And so growth, sales, marketing were all my language, big time. And then after that, I joined a consulting firm where we did transformational growth. So we were helping companies, and mostly mid-market companies, scale up. If they were at 1 million, we were getting them to 10. If they were at 10, it was 20, 30, 50. And so it was helping them drive growth. But across the board, everyone's focused on, the fun stuff, sales, marketing, advertising, going to conferences, shaking hands, right? But the challenge we kept facing was operations, right? They couldn't sustain the growth. Their people couldn't manage it. They didn't have the processes or structures in place. And so that kind of was the birth of LoyaltyOps, was this problem that we just kept running into and had to fix every time in order to drive that growth.
Yeah, and you set that up with your husband, I believe.
Yes.
Right? So what was his background? Where did he come out of?
So my husband's the cool one of the two of us. He was a tier 1 special forces operator or assaulter. So if you've ever played any of those video games where they kick down doors and take down places, that was my husband. So he's led high risk operations with a lot of, crazy things over the years. And he just recently retired and started this company with me. So he tackles a lot of the no nonsense leadership, process? How do we get people operating really quickly at a level where we can let them go and run and perform? And so he brings a lot of that no-nonsense military background.
Just for clarity purposes, he wasn't in the computer game. He's
Yeah,
an
no,
actual real life figure.
he's a real person, I promise. Yeah, he's a real person, I
And he
promise.
didn't design the game or anything like
No.
that. He made his own game.
He did. He was in the real life situations where they go and do that stuff. Yeah.
Wow. But isn't that a good fit? Like, in fairness, like from your own background in the consulting area and in the marketing area, and then for himself, discipline, structure, execution of a plan and stuff like that. Like,
Yeah.
there's a good yin yang there, I'd say, is there?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we both were high performers. So I was a competitive swimmer for many, many years. And of course, he was military right out of 18, went to Afghanistan, all the things. And so we were both high performers, but I'm the feeler. I have my background's in psychology. I have a master's in psychology. And so like, I'm on the feely, touchy side, and he's the like, we get it done side. So it's a really nice blending of the two.
So you're the empathy, the empathy version, and he's just the cold stone.
Yeah.
Like, get it
It's
done.
just the sociopathic side a little bit. Yeah.
Well, let me tap into that for a second, right? Talk to me about people who say that the current workforce is flaky or not what they used to be.
Every generation loves to say that about the next generation. I catch myself saying things where I've heard my parents and then their parents say it. So I think it transcends generations, where we all look to the next generation and go, oh man, these kids, they don't know what hard work is. They don't. But there's truth to it, right? There's wisdom in years. So when we look at these newer, younger generations, I wouldn't say it's not that they don't want to work hard. It's not that they don't want to feel belonging and purpose and, make good stuff happen and do right by people. They're very much drawn to purpose. Yeah. They want to understand the why behind it, whereas the generations before, we had wars, right? We were forced into, you did it. That was it. This is the way it's done. And so it's just a different mentality. It's not necessarily bad or good. It's just approaching a different perspective.
But from your work experience, do you see challenges in terms of people's personalities over and above, your own generation, for example? Yeah,
absolutely. I would say the biggest challenge that we see is communication. It's how and the standards of communication. So directness and social norms are kind of the two buckets I would put it in. So previous generations, they just say it like it is. They call it out. They're not here to make nice or play with feelings. Like it's like, this is the problem. Let's deal with the problem. Whereas the newer generation tie a lot of that personally, and they're still young. Most of us felt that way when we were young. We tied our performance to us personally. It's like, I'm not a good person because I did this thing wrong. And so there's friction there. Whereas we're trying to direct and we're trying to give them guidance on how to perform, how to do the thing, how to solve the problem. And either they don't buy in because they don't believe in it, or they don't buy in because they feel like they just don't fit themselves. Yeah. So that communication of how we talk to each other about problems, how we get feedback from one another, how we move forward and continuously improve is really important. And that shared language we create within your organization, how we talk to each other, our standards of communication, having solid standards and expectations on that from the get-go, you're going to bring in people who align, who get it. Yeah. And they're going to be able to adapt because it's clear. But when you have kind of no set, everything's just kind of, this is the way it is, and no one talks about it, that's when you start to see a lot of friction.
Is there too much emphasis on the monetary value set as opposed to the characteristics of the performance set of an individual?
Sometimes, yeah. I think it depends on the organization, but I do think we tend to go to extremes. Either we hyper focus on performance, or we hyper focus on monetary, or we have to find that we have to find that common ground. And also, I think as much as empathy sounds like a kind of a not fun thing to talk about, nobody really wants to talk about empathy. But if you can put yourself in the shoes of that person and understand the challenges they face, you might not see them as being as hard, as tricky, or as, whatever of yours was. But if you can put yourself in their shoes and recognize, hey, these young people will never be able to afford a home, right? They're living in their parents' basement. They they don't feel tied to anything. They were brought up very differently. You can start to see why and how they're coming to the table and start to have better conversations. But if you refuse to put yourself in their shoes, it's going to be really tough to create any sort of progress with them. A good shepherd smells like sheep. You got to put yourself in their shoes.
Well said, by the way. I'm just thinking about, the construction industry, and obviously there's a lot of guys are finding it hard to attract labor into the market. So we're missing new people coming into the market. And then the people that we do have in the market, if you're good enough, you should be working. And if you're not working and you're looking for work, that's not a good sign. But then it's kind of like, I'm too small. Sure, I can't afford certain people that, I want to work with me. There is some biases with small to medium sized owners in terms of just kind of like an imposter syndrome, that, well, who'd want to come work for me? Sure. I'm only little old me, and and maybe sure I wouldn't even be able to hold on to these people because they'll probably leave me after 6 months or 8 months. Once they get a bit of experience, they'll be going up the road. What do you say to that business owner?
Oh, you had a really good conversation recently with Tracy Austin, I believe was her name, on HR and attracting and recruiting great people. And this bias is across industry. So we see it in construction, we see it in property management. It's like, I'm small, and the only thing I can compete on is salary. And because I'm small, I can't compete. Therefore, I'm just stuck with, not great people. And that's not true. We have to look at it from the talent side, from the person that we're trying to recruit side. What is it that they want? They want to feel connected and belonging. They want to learn and grow. They want to have experiences. And so when we're looking at these people, it's like, what are the things that matter to them? And how do we make sure that we provide them with that here? Learning and growth, mentorship, hard work, those are all things that most people value, but we don't talk about it. We don't talk about the value of hard work, of getting your hands dirty, of working on a project, building from the ground up, of being able to work directly with clients. And then we let the fear of letting that person go stop us from investing in them. But what ends up happening is that person grows, and it's a beautiful kind of step forward. You've helped them take this giant leap, which proves that what you're doing makes sense and matters. And now it's your opportunity to set up the next step. Okay, great. If I could, keep that person, what would that look like? Or how could I make sure that I get more and more people coming through and this gets better and easier every single time?
See, this is where I'm going with you on this podcast, is that your approach is sustainability. And a lot of people they have a Monday to Friday plan. They don't have a quarterly plan or a 3-year plan or whatever it is. And I'm not saying that's all the viewers or listeners, but a lot of guys which would, get me through this week, and, I'll deal with next week when next week comes, and then, I'm living in the moment, and I don't want to be getting too far ahead of myself. But, let's talk about this whole, have the real conversation type discussion around, your group of, confided people just within the business or outside the business or friends or family or whatever else. Like, what the hell are you doing here? What's the purpose? Where are you going?
If you don't know, if you don't know what your purpose is or where you're going, how are you going to convince anyone else to come along on the journey with you? Right. Like, that's what it comes down to. If you're looking for talent, if you need labor, if you want to get good people and keep them, you have to be able to bring them into that story. And if you don't know it yourself, you're not going to be able to persuade them to come along and be gritty and go through hard times, right? For what? So it's super important. And this is the first step we take with every company we work with across the board.
Really?
Is getting clarity on that. So we call it clear intent. We totally ripped it off from the military, so it might sound familiar. They call it mission command.
Okay.
The whole idea is, if you have clarity on these, and we've simplified it to ridiculously simple stakes, but if you can clarify these 4 things and everyone understands it, can recite it, says it in the same language, you've got that foundation set for yourself, where everyone knows who we are, what we do, why we do it, and where we're going.
Mhm.
One sentence, easy to remember. Everyone's trained on it, and we talk about it all the time. Then you know that anytime they make a decision, anytime they're talking to a client, anytime they're looking at a project, they're doing it through that lens. And
Mhm.
it makes life so much easier. But the where we're going part is the part everyone loves to skip because they don't want to get too
Yeah.
far ahead of themselves, like you said.
Yeah.
But even just a general where we're going, if you could close your eyes and picture 10 years from now, if it's just like we deliver consistently amazing services to our clients or we build fantastic, it doesn't have to be complicated to be really compelling. Usually
Yeah.
simple is better.
Start with the end in mind.
That's it. That's it.
Yeah, like I think I brought it up a couple of times on the podcast. I cannot get over the amount of people that don't have a written plan, business plan for their business. And I understand reasons why. They probably were landed with a project at the start, and you're a good carpenter. Why don't you do all these houses that we have? The roofing contract. We'll give you the contract. Here's the rates, by the way. We'll even tell you what the rates are. So they're nearly being given a business, for free in the sense of all the tools and all the information to get them up and running because the client wants to get the job done. But then that client goes off and does something else. And now you have to go and roll on to the next project and do it yourself. And you're not going to get the rates and you're not going to get the nice little cushy sort of, information to get you up and running. And then they start flying off the side of their pants basically to price a job, tool up for the job and all that good stuff. And a business plan is just never discussed. Like,
Yeah.
do you find that in your case with construction companies that are not? I'm not talking tier one, obviously, but mid-sized companies, even like a couple of million, still no business plan.
Oh yeah, it happens all the time. And I kind of, the way that I call it is like the difference between a job that you have until you die versus a business that you're going to profit off of long after you retire is that business plan. As much as it feels like this piece of paper that you're never going to use and you're going to put on a shelf, I mean, I say it all the time. The plan itself is usually useless, but the act of planning is everything.
Yeah.
Right? And that's what it comes down to. It's taking the time to step back and go, okay, what do I really want to get out of this outside of a job? Right?
Yeah.
How do I want to build this up so it lives beyond me and I don't have to keep working so hard? I can let other people do the work for me. That's what we need to create here is that plan.
Yeah. I'm kind of thinking in the background that like my own business model has always been to not have employees and figure out how to win business and operate business and manage a business without employees. And in fairness, it worked, and it's recession proof, and it's pandemic proof. But it doesn't. The sustainability factor does have an impact because if you take some key players, the A players out of that model, it collapses.
Yeah, there's pros and cons, right? To what we would call like an agile business in today's day and age, where you limit the number of employees and you leverage contractors, subcontractors, so you can grow and shrink as needed. It is absolutely recession proof. It's super, super agile.
Yeah.
But again, like if you don't know what the point is, what your purpose is, what that long-term goal is of the business, it's hard to make that decision on what's right or what's wrong. The risk is you lose out on building great entrepreneurs, on getting good people who buy in, who take that ownership perspective and can help grow it beyond.
Yeah.
Because they're not going to do that if you're not willing to give them what we would call like the foundation of safety. It's that job security.
Yeah.
But if you're not willing to give, how can you expect them to give that mentality? And small business owners do this all the time. I'm going to pay the lowest possible amount. I'm not going to invest anything in the person or the relationship, but they better be the best damn hire I've ever had, right? Like, it's true.
Yeah, it's true.
When we talk about loyalty, it's two-way street. It's got to be mutually beneficial, right? You've got to create that sense of security. Yeah.
Yeah, you've hit the nail on the head. Pardon the pun. Like, I don't know that it's intentionally done. I think it's a case of, sure, who else is going to do the job? Only me. Sure, I'll get the job done. Sure, it's all on me. And if you say it enough times, it becomes real and becomes actually a mantra. And next thing, all of a sudden, it's the way you do business.
Becomes your identity.
Your identity, yeah, 100%. And so I'm interested or intrigued to find out how do you deal with that challenge when you come across a business owner like that's entrenched in their mindset, and then they're like, and then they've probably been brought to meet Mickey at a meeting, and they're going like, I'd rather
I don't have time for
tear
this.
my eyes out than meet this woman.
Yeah. It's usually, I don't have time for this is the first thought. It's like, oh, I got too much to do. I don't have time for this conversation. I'm like, oh, that's why we're here. Yeah. I mean, there has to be a willingness at the core for this person to get out of that rat race, right? Like they have to genuinely want to change. If they don't, then like the conversation's not going to go anywhere. Or we'll have the conversation and then 3 months or 6 months or 12 months will go, and then they'll finally all of a sudden be like, oh yeah, okay, it makes sense now. I'm ready.
Yeah.
But we have this really kind of simple flywheel that we create with our clients. And at the core, if you do these 4 things in whatever way makes sense for you in your organization, it's always a little bit different how you do it. But if you do these 4 things in your company, regardless of the type, regardless of the size, I actually encourage you to start this when you're much smaller, because now you've set the standard and it's easier to grow up into it versus I have a ton of people and now I got to cascade this through all these people. So the 4 steps, really simple. Communicate. What are your standards for communication? Written. How do you prepare for meetings? How do you show up for meetings? What happens after the darn meeting? Right? Where do we keep information? Right? Is there a live place where people can go to find stuff? Is it standardized? So communication is step 1. We need to have the standards for communication for your company.
I'm writing this down, by the way.
Yeah. Number 2 is collect. It's lots of C's. Number 2 is collect. This is all about the feedback loops that you create in your company. So it's cool. You're talking one way at everyone. How are you getting information from the ground? Right? If there's a problem, are they going to tell leadership? Are they going to come to you, or are they going to hide it? And then if you have something to say, how are you getting that down to them so they really understand it? And then across the company, right, is the foreman and then the construction team and then the vendors and anyone else you've got. How are you creating good communication loops for them?
Yeah.
Right. The third is my favorite. It's commit. This is about ownership and accountability, right?
Yeah.
How do I hold myself accountable to our standards, the way we do things here?
Yeah.
Right. What's that look like? How does everyone else hold each other accountable, even if it's a higher up? So say you're the construction owner and you've got a newbie who comes in and is like, hey, I noticed you did this thing with the client, and I want to be able to tell you confidently and, not from a place of me being mean or trying to poke at you, but like, here's how I would have done this. And instead of taking that as like a dagger to the heart, like, oh, who is this person? What do they know? Being able to actually have a way for you guys to hold each other accountable. Regardless of role, right? And then how do we make decisions in there is the other part of ownership. What decisions am I allowed to make? When do I need to escalate? And this comes down to freeing up the owner, right? If your people know what they're allowed to decide and what the guardrails are for when they should come to you, oh man, it becomes a lot easier for them.
Yeah.
And then the last phase is continuously improve. So communicate, collect, commit, continuously improve. Continuously improve is about, okay, we made this mistake, we learned this thing. How do we make sure it never happens again?
Yeah.
How do we make sure that all of us are rising to the level of our standards together and individually? And if you can nail those 4 components for your company, and it's going to look a little different for you, but if you can nail those 4 things, you're going to start to see what we would call your culture become the thing that helps you grow, because your people understand what good looks like. They understand the expectations and standards. They know how to make decisions. They know how to keep moving forward.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, less of the growth is on your shoulders and more of it's across the company.
Are you looking to spend less time on paperwork and more time making things happen on site? Hustro.com is the simplest construction management software out there. Streamline inspections, defect reporting, and all your project documentation, all in one app. With Hustro.com, contractors are seeing 75% less time on inspections and reports, 47% faster corrective actions, and almost a third quicker decision making. Hustro.com is the simplest software to manage construction projects, period. Level up your site efficiency today with Hustro.com.
Yeah, but I'm intrigued to hear and listen. Obviously, seems to be very behavioral based, and I'm thinking then, when you go into a company and the paperwork isn't systematic, it might have been lifted from another previous owner or from a different company and drafted into your company because, oh wow,
Yep.
I just need to get this policy in place because the client is asking for my, I don't know, safety documentation or environmental documentation, whatever it is. And all of a sudden then you've got this big library full of paperwork that doesn't actually serve any purpose. And
Yep.
I'm thinking, and I'm visualizing, if you don't mind, Mickey, you going into a company and you're working on all this behavioral stuff, and next thing you realize, shit, these guys' systems are absolutely in the bin. Like, we're going nowhere here, and I can fix the person, but I can't fix the system.
Oh, we love that kind of a problem. Yeah. So when we let me get going here.
Here
we love this, right? That's the people, process, performance.
Yeah.
That's at the core, right? So you've got great people, and you're holding them accountable, and you guys know what good looks like. Great, but how do we set up a process so this keeps running and it's not key person dependent?
Yeah.
So I like to separate out the types of documentation you have for your company. You have the boring policies, like your safety policies, like your environment, the stuff that's going to be client facing that you need to have, HR, whatever.
Yeah.
That's one bucket of things that you need to have. And yeah, that's important. The part that everyone skips, though, is what we would call your standards. These aren't policies. And this is usually something as simple as like a Word document that's live and shared if you're a Microsoft Office shop, or if you're Google, it's a Google Doc, wherever you house it. It doesn't really matter. But it's a live document that everyone has access to, and that's owned by leadership, right? And yeah, you've got a lot on your plate, but if you don't own this, no one will. Sorry.
Okay.
So there's a point at which, like, you got to do it.
Talk to me about that. Give me an example.
Yeah. So I can actually walk you through exactly what we do. So it's got all 4 of those stages: communicate, collect, commit, continuously improve.
Yeah.
And in each one, you're going to have a written, kind of codified, here's how we do things here. In communicate, it's who we are, what we do, why we do it, where we're going. 1 page, simple, 1 sentence. Everyone can see it. It's always there. It's a source of truth. It's a North Star for us. The next, and this is, construction tend to hate this exercise, and then they love it. So they go in with the worst expectations. They're like, oh, this is woo-woo. I hate this. I don't want to do it. And then all of a sudden they're like, oh my God, why didn't we do this forever ago? It's core values. And not in the way that everyone does core values, because that, yes, 100%.
It's not cringy.
No. So most companies do have core values, right? I would say in construction, probably 60% of the companies that we've worked with have some sort of documented core values, but it's like a word with some long rambly description that nobody remembers and they don't know what it really means, but the leader is really into it, right? Like, not super helpful. So what we do is we say, let's simplify this and make it even clearer. So you're going to have your core value, whatever the word might be. Shorter, simpler definition that everyone can remember and say, 3 to 5 words. Easy peasy. And then from that, we stole, again, from the military and some of the greatest organizations in the world, this trick. So what we learn in psychology is language influences thinking, which influences behavior. So the words you use, whether you like it or not, are going to impact the way you think, the way your people think, and the way you behave. And so what we do is we call these heuristics. These are like your catchphrases you're saying that describe and help people understand what those core values look like. So a good example of one, I said it on here, a good shepherd smells like sheep. Like, I can say that to pretty much everyone and they're like, yep, I get it. Right. And when I say it, or when someone else says it, they're like, I know what that looks like. Right. I understand in any situation how that would help. And so coming up with your own, it can be 1 to a couple per core value that you're going to say repeatedly. And these are usually sayings you say anyways, you just haven't written them down. So we've got your core value with a little definition so everyone knows what it means. A few of those sayings that you're going to use to help guide people. The military use this all the time because they can't go through 18 million training documents. They have to get people up to speed fast, right? So slow is smooth, smooth is fast. That's one they use in shooting packages and stuff like that. So you've got those sayings. And then the last is the behaviors. This is, what does this look like on the ground for everybody? And this is the part where people tend to go more character trait. Oh, we want people who are, and I mean, I listened to your conversation with Tracy, and some of the things that came up were like innovative. Okay, what would innovative look like for the person answering the phone to a client? Right? Give me an example. What would innovative look like for the foreman on the ground with the team trying to get them around a project? What would it look like? And so you start to think about the most general behaviors that everyone's going to follow. It means, coming up with solutions anytime a client has a problem, right? Those sorts of things. And then the other piece of it is the opposite of that. What does it not look like? What do we not do here?
Yeah, I love that.
And then that you have for each of your core values. And at the bare minimum, if that's all you do and you give that to every new hire in training, have them
100%.
memorize it, read it, you use the language, you model it as a leader, you're going to see massive transformation across the board.
That's culture right there.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
And we like to define culture a little bit differently than most. Most people think it's like the feelings. It's like people like to come to work, they're happy, they're engaged. We see culture as performance.
Yeah.
It is how you get people to thrive on the long term.
Yeah, because if they're thriving, they're surviving, as they say.
Exactly.
So I get all that. Like I'm nearly getting exhausted listening to you because I'm going, oh my God, really? It seems like a lot of work.
It takes about an hour. And honestly, it's worth it. It's worth its weight in gold. It does feel heavy at first.
It does, yeah.
The mistake you don't want to make is turning this into decision by committee. So I've seen this so many times where a leader's like, this is a lot of work. I'm going to get everyone else to come in and help me with it. And so they're like, all right, I want everyone else to come up with their core values. And come on. It's your company.
I know
you're the leader.
I've seen it. I've been in those meetings and it's cringe. It is like, and then
it hurts.
What are we missing, guys? What word are we missing out of this sentence?
Oh my gosh! Just bang your head on the table.
Everybody putting their hands up to give their own twopence when it's so fabricated that it's not. I'm a big believer. Make the system fit the company and the person and the operations and the output. Don't make the system, drive you in the sense that you're following some generic playbook or blueprint of how to run a business, or you've been watching YouTube and you think, oh well, yeah, if that's good enough for them, that must be the way to do it. I think there's a lot to be said for being authentic, and if you are the type of person that curses and sort of has bad language, well then that's just you. Maybe people might say to you to tone it down a little bit from a client perspective and from a ethical way of doing business. But if it's you, it's you. If that's you, it's you. You're not going to change at 40 odd years of age or whatever it is. It's you.
No, that's it. And you have to remember as well, so whoever you are as a leader is what you're going to get more of. Like, you are the amplifier of everything in the company. So if you swear and you use a certain type of language and I struggle to not swear, I have to hold it back.
Yeah.
But if you're like that, for us, for example, we're totally fine using curse words internally. We love colorful language, right? We have a good sarcastic sense of humor, and everybody likes to use the loose language. I mean, we wouldn't survive with my husband, right? But when it comes to client, we're professional, we're direct, we're real, but we don't let those colorful words come in. That's just a boundary that we have, and that's the standard. Yeah. And I have to model it, and I might mess up, but I'm going to own it if I do. I'm like, hey guys, dropped an F-bomb in a call with the client. Shouldn't have done it. I know I did it. It hurts. I'm sorry. I'm working on it. But if you don't call it out, they're going to see that as a behavior that's acceptable.
Well, that's the thing. If you don't call it out, that's the thing. And I see that in companies is they, we become too paralyzed in our positions because it's not my position to call that person out on that, and I don't want to rough them up the wrong way. Or if I call her out, she's going to go for me, and I'm going to get it somewhere along down the line because I called her out. And there isn't that openness of expression. Do you find it difficult to break down the barriers in that regard when you go into companies in terms of these gatekeepers of language?
No. So going in, usually the leader of the management team is like, ooh, kid gloves, we can't, no, like they're worried and holding back. But
Yeah.
there's this pent up, everybody wants to just be able to say the thing they can't say. It's
Yeah.
there. We all want to be able to say it and get it out of there.
Yeah.
And so once you create the standard, okay, and guys, here's how we run things here. It's written in our little playbook. Everybody knows this. This is the standard from now on. We're all going to work towards this standard. Is anytime you mess up, you want to be the first person to call it out yourself. You don't want someone else to have to catch you. You want to be able to say it and own it and how you're going to fix it, period. I'm going to do my best to do this. We're going to keep working on this. And then if you see someone else, regardless of title, even if it's me, you're going to call me out too. We're going to do it with high standards and deep devotion to the person. It's not to be mean. It's to call out the standard. Hey, I noticed you dropped an F-bomb on that call.
Yeah.
Right. I know. I don't think it was intentional. I just want to let you know, like, we noticed it. The client noticed it. Something to think about. And the person, like, yeah, you know what? I own that. Absolutely. But if we take it personally and we let that become the standard of what we don't talk about things here, it's just going to spiral.
It's going to, it's toxic. But I do empathize with some owners that might have long-term employees who are mature and old school, maybe in their ways. And, you know, maybe a young person starts in the business today, might be apprentice or might just be a young person. And, you know, the older guy is giving that guy a bit of abuse on the job and kind of like, you know, sort of language and body language and all the other stuff is, you know, and of course he's not being spoken to because he's the A player or seen to be the A player in the business. And I do see a lot of that where, you know, these people become the dominant language and the dominant sort of perception of the business. So you have the business owner that's flying around all these different projects, doesn't have time to stay in one project for too long, and doesn't really get a grasp of what exactly is playing out on a day-to-day basis. But then you have these dominant figures that are on the floor that are actually sort of really, you know, getting the job done so the client is happy. But the client is probably thinking, you know, I don't really like the way he talks or she talks to people.
Yep, it happens all the time. And the number one thing that's going to keep it there is not talking about it.
Yeah.
Right. And so it is on the leadership. As much as everything is on leadership, this in particular is on leadership, to have the one-on-one conversation with the people, right? Those core dominant people. And it's not about like, this is how we do things. We're changing. You're not allowed to do this anymore. It's like, you know a lot, right?
Yeah.
Like, it's, you know a lot. You hold so much information and context about how we work, what works, what doesn't work.
Yeah.
And we want to learn from you. But also, one of the most important things is that we keep growing as a team and we foster open communication. Because if you're not able to share and they're not able to share, nobody's going to believe it and do it. And so I'm going to work on this. I'm going to communicate with you. I'm going to call you out. I'm going to ask you for your opinion. I want you to be honest with me when things aren't working, right? I want you to say the thing you think you can't say.
Yeah.
Right?
And this is why this is probably, you know, down to the success of Undercover Boss as a program. Like, you know, oh yeah. And when you talk to them at the start, it's like, you know, I grew up and I done this and now I'm over 7,000 people and, you know, we're a great business and we're going to scale this. And then within 10 minutes, that guy is getting it in the neck from some loudmouth on the floor who's not representing the brand in any way or whatever else. It's like, oh shit.
Yeah.
How many times have you seen the cameras having to, you know, or the whole storyline change that, hold on a minute, we need to shut this premises down because I can't deal with this, you know.
But the thing to take from that's one of my favorite shows, I will tell you. It's one of my absolute favorite shows because it's A, it's really fun, but B, like it really gives you perspective on the distance you have from the ground.
Yes.
Right? From what's actually happening.
Regardless of your size.
It doesn't even matter if you're one person shop with a few contractors or you have thousands of employees. There is a gap between leadership and what's happening on the ground. And the thing to take from this is the leader always has really clear understanding of who we are and where we're going.
Yeah.
Right. They do. They know how we do things here.
Yeah.
And they know where I want this company to go and how I want it to move forward. If you don't have that, it's really hard to get your people to intuitively know that and act in accordance. So it ties back to that business plan and to that really simple foundation of like, what are we doing here? Why do I have this business? What kind
Yeah.
of a reputation do I want to leave?
Yeah.
An impact or an imprint do I want to leave on the world? And when you have that, it becomes a lot easier to bring people in and get them aligned.
Yeah.
But if you don't have it, you can't expect anyone else to have it either.
No, and I think I resonate. Like I'm a hero of everything you're talking about. Like there is other things that will fall out of this, in the sense that when you start putting these structures and systems and processes into place, you may very well turn around and go, do you know what? We're doing a part of a business that we shouldn't be doing at all.
Yeah.
We're actually going to drop that division completely because it doesn't align with our values, our systems, our people, our process, and our performance, because we could be doing things better, and we don't really do that particular part of the business better.
Yeah, we get greedy, right? We forget the purpose and we go for profit, right?
Yes.
That's like, okay, if this is going to make me money, I'm going to cut through and we're going to take on this thing, even if it doesn't quite make sense, because there's potential for profit there.
Yeah.
But if you're making decisions off that and not off of the core of what we want out of this company, it becomes really easy to be distracted. And when you're distracted, any chance of profit just dwindles, right? Because you're just spread thin. You're mediocre at a bunch of stuff instead of being really good at the thing that matters most.
Yeah. The process, Mickey, like when we started off this podcast, I was thinking to myself, thanks be to God, Sergeant Major isn't on the podcast, that I at least I could deal with Mickey. And then we're nearly into minute 40 here, and I went, I could have done with Sergeant Major instead of Mickey, because she's so on it. Like, that's like. Yeah, I was like, I thought you were going to be. I thought you were going to be the easy one of the partnership.
No, he's the funny one. Yeah, he's the funny, easy one. I'm the one who ends up pushing things
You're the
forward.
drill sergeant. You're the drill sergeant.
Yeah.
So how long does the drill sergeant take to do this when they walk in from point of inception?
So if we're working with a small company, so say, for example, you're kind of a solo company owner, you've got a bunch of contractors, I would say like under 30, then it's a one-on-one engagement, and we'll start off with 4 months. And we like to do this in phases, because if you try and do it all at once, you're just going to drown. Nothing's going to get done, right? We know that. And so when we do this, we do it in phases, and we do it in the phases that we talked about of that flywheel. We start phase 1 is communicate. Phase 2, collect. Phase 3, commit. Phase 4, continuously improve. And so we'll start building up your foundation for each of those so that you can run and get you going there if it's one-on-one. If we're working with a larger company, depending on the size and scale, we usually aim it for 90-day sprints. And if you wanted to do this for yourself, like if you're like, okay, this sounds great, these are things that I need to do, I'm going to do this for myself, I recommend 90-day sprints. It's a good enough chunk of time to give you time to start things, get some feedback, work through it, learn, and make decisions. If you try and do it in less, it can be a little bit overwhelming and you end up doing too much all at once. So focus on 90-day sprints. 90 days, we're going to focus on the way we communicate here. These are the standards we hold, how we're talking to each other, how we're preparing, how we're documenting where things live.
Yeah.
Then the next 90 days will be collect. Okay, great. How am I getting information from the ground up? Am I going to sites on a regular basis? Am I having meeting with the foreman? Am I holding a town hall with the contractors every quarter? Right? Like, what does that look like for them to be able to share with me and for me with them?
Yeah.
And then 90 days on ownership, accountability, and decisions. How do we hold each other accountable? How do I hold myself accountable? How do we make decisions here? And then the last 90 days, okay, great. We've learned all this stuff. How do we keep it going?
Yeah.
How do we review after projects in a way that helps us move forward? How are we, improving ourselves personally as a company? What does our goal setting look like? All that good stuff. And if you go through that process really intentionally, you don't have to do too much. It can be as simple as like 1 or 2 things per 90 days. Oh my goodness. The growth that you'll see, the unexpected growth you'll see will be amazing.
Yeah, like 90 days is not a big chunk of time, considering the output that would come out of that. Like, it's not saying that you're going to put a handbrake on the business. The business still continues as normal.
Oh, yeah.
So let the business play out, and let's just run this parallel with the business and have all these KPIs, if you like,
exactly,
intermittently pulling back data back into something that can be produced as a roadmap that can then be restructured, refined, redefined. But now you've got a dynamic plan that is your business plan, is your culture, is your systems, is your processes, and is the identity of your business.
Exactly.
That was not a sales pitch for your business, by the way, but
Appreciate it.
right, I'm going to throw a few curveballs at you just because we like to do curveballs.
Love it.
Something of interest of you that not many people would know, Mickey, or would identify, or do you know what? I didn't know that about Mickey. I've never known that about her.
Yeah, I grew up in Europe. So I grew up in Germany and traveled the world a lot as a kid.
Wow.
My dad is the CEO of a big, well, first it was in the automotive industry, and now he's in fuel systems and manufacturing. So
cool.
I traveled a ton around the world, speak a little tiny bit of German, not much anymore, speak French and English. So lots of travel. Most people think I've been a homebody in Canada the whole time.
Wow. It doesn't come across in the accent. It's the accent is very much, yeah. Hello, gaffers. Hope you're enjoying the podcast. We love every one of the guests that we have, but in order to bring on more great guests, we'd love to build the channel with you. So hit the subscribe, hit the like button, and let's create a really great community where we bring in better and better guests for you to deliver great content and great pieces of information that you can take back into your business. Now, back to the podcast. Thank you. Tell me, knowing what you know now, what would you do different in life?
I would focus less on process and more on people, right? I think most companies, and myself, I did this. I over-indexed on process in a lot of my companies where it was everything has to follow this process. But I ended up with process thinkers who all they could do was the process.
Yeah.
And anytime anything new came, it was like, oh no.
Yes.
Deer in the headlights, right?
Yeah.
So for me, it's like it's more about setting the person up for success and process as a part of it, but it's not everything. So that would be the big shift I would make in my thinking.
Love that. Give me somewhere that is your go-to destination. If I said to you, do you know what? Just pack the bags, hop in the car, go somewhere. Where is that place and why?
Oh, this is going to be unexpected. We do Disney cruises. You're welcome.
Sorry.
Bye. So we do Disney cruises.
Wearing the hat, Mickey. Don't tell me you're wearing. And don't tell me Mickey's part of the whole. I know, right? You've changed your name.
That's it. Yeah. No, we love Disney cruises because it's like 10% Disney. So it's like toned down grown up Disney on a cruise ship where there's like adult only areas and then Broadway level stuff. And it's just the greatest. Yeah. We have a 7-year-old daughter who adores it. And that's our go-to, oddly enough. Yeah. We've become cruisers. It's so weird.
Funny you should say that because my wife went on a cruise with kids last year. Have you been on that new Disney cruise? The new ship?
Yes.
Well, talk to me.
Yes. It was spectacular. To be fair, though, my husband notices more about the ships and stuff like that. I don't really notice. They're all kind of the same to me. You're like, it's a little bit of different decoration, but you're on a giant boat.
You realize they're using Rolls Royce engines down there?
Yeah, it's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. The whole experience is wild. And I
anything in particular that stood out on the ship that you went, wow, that's just out of the world?
It's the people. So most cruise lines, you have far less staff on board compared to Disney. It feels like when you're on the ship, for every guest, there's a staff person there for you. Like, there's just never any lack of people there to help you, which I adore. They go above and beyond on making sure that their people are everywhere and ready for you.
Okay, cool. I'm definitely putting it on the list, by the way. I know I laughed
Highly
about
recommend.
that. I'm going to go.
Highly recommend.
Favorite book or movie or both?
Book right now is Big Little Breakthroughs.
Big Little Breakthroughs.
So I think in the age of like technology and AI, the skill of creativity is one that we really need to lean into with all of our people.
Yeah.
Right? It's the one human thing that we can all really jump into and get better at that AI can't.
Yeah.
So that book, Big Little Breakthroughs, teaches you the process of learning how to be creative and practicing creativity and innovation. It's so simple and it's just fantastic. So highly recommend.
Well, that's written down.
Yeah, highly recommend. Favorite movie is The Princess Bride, a classic.
Okay. Yeah. No need to go there. No need
No.
to go there.
Like, and I'm going to walk away.
Some of your clients are ringing you now going, really? Really?
Really? Yeah. Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
I don't even, it doesn't need any more dialogue.
No,
Mickey,
you're welcome.
if people want to contact you after this, if people want to contact you, how do they do it? The website, I'm just look at here, back up again. What was the website again?
LoyaltyOps.com. Really simple.
Yeah, loyalty.
LoyaltyOps, loyaltyops.com. You can head there and you can contact me directly from there. That's probably the easiest. And some of the exercises that we talked about today, so that clear intent, who we are, what we do, that's there for free. You can snag that playbook and run through it. And then the cultural standards, which is the core values turned into the sayings and the behaviors, is also there, called cultural standards. You can grab both of those for free. They're on the website. You can grab those through the resources.
Oh, thank you very much. Mickey, I definitely took a lot out of the conversation. You're really good. I don't know, like, how do I put this? I suppose anyone that's listening or watching the show, there's a lot of talk about mentors and having coaches, and there's a lot of, we say charlatan coaches out there that are just, jumping on the bandwagon and sort of coming up with these 4 or 5 phrases, and then, this becomes their mantra that they're pumping out there. That does not come across with yourself, which is why we wanted you on the show as well. You're very authentic. You've got a lot to offer, and, keep doing what you're doing, especially in the construction industry, because there's no sure way of putting this, but there's definitely going to be a downhill at some stage. We're probably at that stage now, at this stage globally, who knows? And if you don't have the sustainability built into your business, you're going to be one of the first to go. But if you can come through it and come out the other side, and you have this sort of structure and have this solid foundation and boundaries around your business, and you can help people build those, they're going to be the next leaders in the next generation.
Thank you. Yeah, it's a tough contraction that we're seeing in the industry, but there have been many of them over time. And so it's really just setting yourself up as a business to work your way through it and to get through it with the most important parts of the business, right, intact. Not everything's going to survive, and there's always a shedding when there is that contraction. But if you can set yourself up to hold on to what's most important through that, and you get through it, you're going to see massive growth and opportunity on the other end.
And even if that's just your own personal growth, it's time well spent.
Absolutely.
Mickey, have a great day, and we'd love to get you back on the show in the future. So please come back to us in a year or two and tell us all about your cruises and all the rest of it.
Amazing. Will do. Yes. Hopefully by then you've been on one too.
Thanks, Mickey. We'll chat to you again. Take care.
Thanks.